Hello, hello again. Welcome to the Jab Blab. John A. Birch here, reminding you of your greatness. Today we're going to talk about the continuation of our series of the breakdown before the breakup. Are you in a relationship in which you're just struggling these days? You know, it's just hard to connect. It's the passion's gone. You've lost that loving feeling, as we like to say. You feel love, but you're not in love anymore. That's what this month is all about here in the month of love, cycling around Valentine's Day, and it's supposed to be a celebration of our love for each other. And so I wanted to choose this month to run this series to help people out, not only in the areas if you're struggling, but to improve your relationships overall. And it doesn't have to be the loving relationships, the interpersonal relationships. It can be just a coworker, the person at the grocery store. You want to have a better relationship with that person, maybe get to know them a little bit more, family members, things along that line, where we really just want to improve our relationships. That's what our focus is this month. So if you're single, listen in. Thank you all very much for joining me here on the Jab Lab today. And today we're going to focus on resolving conflicts, relationship conflicts. When we disagree with people, that's the base premise of this particular conversation today. And we're going to be looking at conflict, relationship conflict. Do you have disagreements? Do you have arguments? Of course you do. We all do. So the answer is obviously yes. But the key is, how do you handle them? How do you respond to them? What causes your conflicts in your life, in your relationship? Now, there's internal conflicts, of course, that we could talk about in another blab, but today we're going to talk about those external conflicts where we have disagreements or arguments with other people. So what I want to talk about is primarily the cause and how to resolve those conflicts. So first of all, let's look at the causes, the source or the why we argue. I think that to sum it up in one word, it's perspective. So it's our perspective, because all relationships begin from within, so do our conflicts. They begin within us. They're a perspective that our values are being violated, our expectations are not being met, we're being disrespected, something along that line. Internally, we feel and think that there's some kind of violation of the relationship. So that creates within us the need to express ourselves, or to tolerate it for a time and then maybe express ourselves. But it comes down to communication. If we're able to communicate, hey, when you did this thing, it made me think or feel this way, and it's not really what I expect from you. So, and expect from our relationship. So if we can dig into some of those conflicts, what causes those things to happen, and understand that it begins with us. It begins within ourselves, and mastery of the self is the hardest challenge. That's why I do a series on Know Thyself, is because knowing thyself is a hard challenge. And to understand from your personality perspective, again, this all relates back to my coaching programs on personality, is understanding that each personality temperament, now we have 4 temperaments, and I'll go over those in just a moment. Each of those has a specific communication style and a very specific perspective on conflict and what causes them stress, what causes them conflict, to be confrontational with others. So let's go right into those real quick. The blue, golds, orange, and greens are our 4 categories that we use in the Insights Learning Foundation instrument for personality assessment. We see personality as a spectrum. So we look at personality and we say, you have all of these traits within your mind. Your brain operates this way, but you have one over the other 3 that drives you most. It's your primary color. It's your primary driving mechanism that gets you through your day. It's your happiness. It's your what I call the in the zone. So if you're a blue, you're a connection person. You're the person that relies on nurturing, loves to feel as if life's a journey, and you're always just looking at symbolism in things. If you're that gold, you're very traditional, structured, you're the organized person. The golds tend to, I know we have a listener in right now. Ed is an attorney out in Pennsylvania, And attorneys generally are gold. Sometimes they're orange. They'll operate out of their orange temperament. But the thing about the gold temperament is they love organization, structure, law. Being punctual is very important to them. So moving on to the green temperament. The green temperament is the analytic. It's the person who studies the data and research and science and loves to get into those. Hello, Jordan. How's it going? Come on in if you want. Jump in a seat if you'd like to. But the green temperament is that person that's really just deals with data and information. Not a lot of emotion, a whole lot of logic. So the last temperament is the orange temperament. That temperament is our kinesthetic. They're the bold entrepreneur. They're the one that rushes into the burning building. They're the one that loves adventure and freedom. They're that person that just loves to be in action all the time. They're behavior-based people. So as we move forward and we look at those 4 temperaments, I want to explain to you what causes them or how they react to conflict, how they're going to express their perception of violating the relationship with them. So the first one I'm going to start with is blues. So resolving conflict with blues or having a conflict with blues, you have to understand that blues are incredibly tolerant people. They are absolutely dinosaur, thick skin. They can endure. They're like Hercules when it comes to having endurance, dealing with stress and dealing with conflict. And the reasoning is they really don't like conflict. They like to avoid it. They love to mediate. They love to come to common ground before the conflict even exists. They avoid stress. When they do come to someone, if you have a blue in your life or you are a blue temperament, if you're that connection person, at the point in which you have to express, you truly feel you have to express this conflict or that person's coming to you with this concern, you have to understand that it took a lot to get them to this point. You've really worn them down. So there's going to probably be an emotional eruption. It's probably going to be some tears. There's probably might be some stuff thrown. There's going to be a lot of emotion coming with this. So how do we deal with that if we're not a blue and resolve this conflict? Well, the first thing we need to do is be genuine, be pleasant, be understanding that it took them this long to come to terms and to express this emotion. Don't sound like you're attacking them if you decide to address this conflict in that way. Don't you did this, blaming, any of those type of things is just going to add fuel to the fire. If you're patronizing, if you're judgmental, if you come across as being argumentative, they're gonna dig in, and they're gonna get incredibly emotional about this. The biggest thing you can do is show them how resolving this conflict will build your relationship with them. Show them the pathway that will make them feel even more connected with you on the flip side of this conflict. And that giving them that pathway and then following up after the conflict with notes of kindness, some notions, a positive note, a reinforcing email, thank them for expressing themselves, appreciate that they did that, and show them the kindness that they need. Next, I want to move into the gold. The gold temperament, again, is that organized, structured. Gold see conflict as right or wrong. Black or white, there's no in between. You broke the rule. You violated the policy. You broke my trust. Whatever, you disrespected me. They see themselves as matter of fact. That is it. It's a matter of fact point. If they bring something that's a conflict for them to your attention, it's a subject of authority. It's a subject of of just it's right or wrong. Period. That's it. If they're bringing it to you, they believe that they're right, you're wrong. So how do we deal with this conflict with the gold personality temperament? Well, here is one of the best things you can do for them is get it in a framework. get very specific and clear, define the issue. What I hear you saying is you want me to take out the trash every evening at 7 o'clock. Be very, very clear and specific in what they're bringing to you. Allow them to express that in a container or in a framework that makes good, logical, common sense. So be courteous and be polite. Set some common ground. Reinforce the rules. Go over the rules again with them. What they believe is, again, we're going back to looking at, it's a perspective. They feel they've been violated. They feel you broke the rules. They feel that their expectations weren't met. So dealing with the gold, if you make an appointment with a gold and you don't show up on time, which is 5 minutes early for them, hey, Jordan, come on in. 5 minutes early for them, then there's going to be a conflict, and they're going to want you to be punctual. So that's going to be a huge issue for them. Hey, Jordan, how you doing?
I'm so good. I love this conversation because part of me loves conflict and clapbacks, and then there's another part of me that's like Zen Jordan. So there's Zen Jordan, and there's I'll cut you, Jordan. And so it's interesting seeing all these different things. But I'd like to be a conflict resolutioner person one day. So I like this.
Very good. Well, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it very much. Do you see yourself in any of the traits that I've described so far?
Oh, yeah. But it's a mix. It's like a complicated mix because if people don't show up on time, I don't tend to get mad except for a few exceptions. However, I do have a very high expectations, and there are a lot of rules around interacting with me. And I've only discovered this since I turned 30. You know what I mean? So lots of stuff.
That's great. That's great. I love it. Well, again, let me back up and I'll explain because I'm not sure if you're in the room at the beginning, and for everybody else that's come in, thank you very much for joining me for this conversation. When we look at personality from the concept that we use, the tool, the instrument that I use, it's a spectrum. So you'll see all of these traits within yourself, but you'll have one that really resonates the most with you, and that's your prime, what we call your primary color. So it's the number one personality temperament that you operate on a normal everyday basis. However, you can pull, it's a multi-dimensional concept in the sense that you can pull from these other traits and cope and survive and thrive if you do that. So, and that's the whole key of understanding this and teaching, the personality stuff for me is to get people to what we call the nexus, where you find some very good balance between your ability to pull off at least the positive traits of each of the temperaments, so that you're living in a more harmonious way. So let me move on real quick to the green temperament. This is, for me, because I'm a green, I think it's a really interesting, people really misunderstand us because the green temperament's about data and analysis, really low emotion. We're just not, we don't tend to be emotional people at all. That's awesome. So when we look at the green temperament, unlike the other three temperaments, greens, it's hard to discover when we're being deliberately confrontational or we're just being ourselves, right? So, because we appear confrontational all the time. Why? Because we're always questioning authority. We're always questioning the way things are done. We're always trying to take things apart and figure out, can we make them better? We love to argue. We love to debate. We love to question everything about everyone and the way things work. So if it's a relationship, the trash can has to be here in the kitchen or here in this place. And it's like, well, why does it have to be there? Why can't it be over this side of the room? Where, those type of things will cause some conflict in our relationships, right? I know for me, one of the struggles that I had in one of my marriages, of course, I'm married twice. So you have a guy who wasn't very successful at marriage because I recognized I didn't have the skills early on. And now this is what I love to do, is to teach people like, hey, don't make the mistakes I made. But I would get very frustrated with simple things like the cap of the toothpaste not being put back on. I just found it gross, right? It was just like, that's crazy. And I look back and I'm like, that's the stupidest thing, like the stupid things that we argue about. in our relationships that I argued about that, where she would argue I left my shoes in the living room. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to put them back on and leave again. So why can't they sit in the living room, right? No, they belong in the closet. So it's those perspectives that we have, those rules in our relationships that cause these conflicts when we violate them. So the green, how do we deal with the green when it comes to real conflict? The biggest thing for dealing with the green is be civil, be composed, try to refrain rather from those emotional outbursts, right? Because if you get emotional, we kind of check out, because we're not tied into the emotion in our wiring. It's all logic. So if you stay logical with us, you'll have a lot more success getting us to see your point of view. You have to give us time to process the data, process the thoughts. So if you bring conflict to us and expect us to talk about it right now, and you want resolution right now, nope, not going to happen. Why? Because we need to analyze, like, oh, did I behave that way? Oh, did I do that? Why did I do that? And we have to go through all of those processes. If you push us, we'll tend to react emotionally, give you a confrontation you're not going to want, because we will win. That's the biggest thing. We'll want to win because we'll have all the facts, all the data. 6 months ago, you did this, this, and this. I didn't say anything, but I'm just saying now, like, you've done these things before. So that's how it comes across for us. And the biggest thing, again, is be willing to think out of the box when we're coming to a resolution. Be willing to explore alternative solutions. So that's a really great thing when you're looking at the conflicts with a green. And fortunately for everyone, we make up the least in our society. Our society has, as far as percentages, golds make up the most, which is great because they bring that structure and organization to our society. The laws, the things that keep us from spiraling into chaos, they make up about 44% of our society. They're polar opposites, however, the lawbreaker, the challenge person, the last one I'm going to finish up here is the orange. They make up about 40%. Blues is only about 10% of our society overall. And then 6% is green. So we do say when the world needs a little more love, we need a little more blues in the world, to bring that harmony, to bring that connection. So conflict with an orange. Now here, these people are built for combat. From day one, their wiring is absolutely set up for battle. They love the challenge. They love to dominate. They're expert fighters. Whether it's a physical battle, whether it's a mental battle, an emotional battle, they're going to take it on and they're going to win, period. That's what they want. They don't care about the trophy. They don't care about the competition. They don't care about the rules. They're going to win, period. So their first weapon is intimidation. They're going to intimidate you. I'm in the position of authority. Jordan's like, I see so much of myself, right? It's awesome. Brian's saying he always sees me wearing a blue shirt. Yeah, wishful thinking, Brian. It's actually, in my spectrum, when we look at the spectrum of people, and you take the personality assessment to figure out your spectrum, but I'm a green, orange and blue are tied. So I can pull off both of those traits fairly equally. And then gold is the least. So my organization, I struggle a little bit. If I spun my camera around, you saw my desk, it's just piles of stuff. My filing cabinet, 2 of the drawers are open right now, and there's just stuff stuck in there. So it's not really filed, right? It's stuffed. And that's how it's supposed to be used, right? I know where stuff is. I know what's there, so it's good. But when we're dealing with this conflict with orange, it tends to be hostile. It tends to get violent very quickly. Insults are hurled. The things that come out of the orange mouth are appalling sometimes when we're dealing with that orange conflict. Jordan, are you relating to this a little bit?
I feel like 20 people trapped in one, which is amazing for my life. But I can relate to orange, but I think that maybe orange was a learned characteristic for me and a survival characteristic for me.
Could have been. Yes, very much so. Yeah. And that's, again, that's why I love that this system looks at it as a spectrum, because if you're in an environment where you need orange traits to just thrive and survive, or even just simply survive, then you're wired. They're there, and you can pull off on those traits and get through that. And the thing is, later on, is you have to let those go, right? You have to let those traits go and blossom back into your primary identity. And that's why I encourage people, just take the personality assessment, and then you get to see what your true primary is, and you can get into that and understand, like, oh my God, I'm operating out of orange and I'm really a blue. This is horrible, right? And it'll help guide you to understand those traits as well. So when you're dealing with the orange, use humor. Be lighthearted with them. I have a friend who's an orange. I mean, uber orange, just bright orange. Beautiful person, but when we have conflicts, I let them get it out, right? Like, and I'll just look at them, I'll smile, and be like, "You done yet? You feel better now?" Right? And he's like, "Shut up, man!" But it's okay, because I understand where he's coming from. He has to just get that energy out. And then he can go back to being like, okay, I'm funny guy. What's up, man? Yeah, that was cool. So they're often going to do that. They're going to blow up. They're going to have their moment. And then they're going to come back and be like, I kind of acted like a fool right there. And hope you forgive me. But if you can get them to be funny, get them back to that, because they're naturally funny people. They're naturally entertaining. They're optimistic people. So the thing is, you have to expect with the orange that they're going to use intimidation. They're going to bring it as a challenge, right? You're challenging their authority. You're challenging who they are as a person, their identity, their freedom, that you've not met their expectations. How dare you? Those type of things are going to be pretty cool for them to express. So, and again, be practical. Stay grounded in reality. When an orange goes into conflict mode, when they go into challenge mode, they can be very, very abstract. They can get really, really dramatic. And it's great for comedy. And then Jordan, I know you do comedy, but it's great for entertainment purposes. But for real life situations, you have to deal with the conflict of the orange. You really have to dial it down and just stay grounded in reality and give them a very functional format that they can relate to you on. So that's the 4 temperaments. Anybody relate to those? Anybody in the comments? I know, let me catch up on a few of the comments here. I know that Brian had put a few things in here, something about a green. Sophie relates to green, but have no traits of the other. No, Brian, that just means you're really in tune. You're really in tune with your green. If that's the one you relate to, if those are the traits that really resonate with you, then that's probably what you are. You're probably that green, or at least you're operating out of green at this point in time in your life. The question is, are you happy? Are you, when you're dealing with these conflicts, are you getting resolution by being green? And if not, try fitting on some of those other traits, in a positive way.
That's a really good question. Are you getting resolution by being
right? Yeah, like, and that's the biggest thing that I love to teach with this is, in your relationships, are you getting resolution that is bringing harmony, bringing peace, bringing back the passion to your relationships, bringing back that common feeling of like, man, this is awesome. So if you're able to understand that and to get the resolution, again, I go back to my definition of the causes is a violation from our perspective. So whenever we feel we need to have a conflict, or we find ourselves in conflict with someone, it's our perceptives. Our relationships and our conflicts begin within us. So it's our personality, it's our perception of the violation, it's our perception of being violated in some way, disrespected, not having our expectations met, that cause these arguments. So, and there's interesting other little interesting trinkets about each of these traits. The orange, by the way, will start an argument if things are stale. That temperament loves variety. What brings more variety than an argument, right? What brings more action and more excitement and more things than just starting an argument? So it might be over something really petty and silly and stupid from an outsider perspective, but to them, it's just them getting variety. It's getting their need filled, either take me out on the trail hiking or I'm going to start an argument with you. And it might be, why don't you ever take me hiking? Or why don't ever you go hiking with me? You never go out and do things that I want to do. Those type of things may come across from them just because things are stagnant. They're stale in the relationship. I have a question here. Was Kermit the Frog right when he said it's not easy being green? Yes. I love Kermit the Frog personally. That and Yoda are pretty awesome greens. It's not easy being green for sure. And it's because the green temperament out of all the other temperaments in all of these areas, stress, conflict, communication, they're very, very unique individuals. The way that their brain is wired is really different from the other temperaments, and it stands out a lot more. And I think that's, again, being a green primary, I'm thankful there's not more of us in the world. There's a good balance of us. Steve Jobs is a green. Thomas Edison was a green. So it's really been, it's great. Hey, Clarissa, how are you? Great to see you. Let me see if there's any other, let's see, gold fits for Ed. Feel a little blue sometimes. Okay, good. Hey, Ed, when you feel that blue, is it a positive thing? I'm not sure if he's still here. Yeah, he's still here. Ed is a lawyer out in PA and does utility law, which has got to be really exciting. So does that, when you're feeling blue, is it a positive thing? Or is the blue, when you resonate with the blue, do you feel it's a negative thing? I'll give you a moment to answer that as I read some of these other things here. Don't marry Brian. Brian's very funny today. Don't marry an orange-green mix. And the thing is, that's why I love talking about relationships. Of course, we're in the month of love. We're celebrating love, So even if you're single, understanding this information is vital, because you have relationships with family, you have relationship with coworkers, you have relationship with clients and customers, you have relationships with the grocery store clerk. So if you understand that how these traits play in our lives, and how we behave as people in our personality temperaments, and either in our primary zone or somewhere else, it's vital for us to improve our relationships, improve our communication, improve ourselves, do personal development if we understand our personality and how it impacts our lives. So, so it's very important.
I need a one pager. I need this to be your opt-in. Like, if this were your opt-in to have a one pager explaining all these, I would be on your email list, like white on rice. I don't even know if you have an email list, but I'm like, I need this, and I need this in front of my computer,
sure,
so that I can study.
Yeah. I'm actually working. That's part of what I'm moving toward. I've gone through a transition where I was doing business in a different way. And I was doing military primarily, and now I'm shifting back to trying to make my business full-time, or at least a greater part-time type of thing where I'm impacting lives. Hey, Herbie, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you in here. So as I look at that, I had to rebuild my website. I condensed down, and I'm rebuilding. So yes, I'm going to have all of that stuff come out. I want to do like a daily personality app where you get you entered if your personality spectrum, and then if you're primary green, you're going to get that green personality statement for the day, the encouragement statement. If you're blue, go out and love people more, feel the love, any of those type of things. So yeah, that's the long-term goal for this year, is to definitely impact people that way. But I like that idea of having a one page.
This is my high expectation. If you do not have this one pager done by the time,
Jordan, I'm sensing the conflict. I'm sensing the conflict in our future now.
Well, I got to hop off, John, but I really love this. And I'll be back if you do more of these. Okay.
Absolutely. We'll be. We're going to do this whole series, the breakdown and the breakup, before the breakup, excuse me. So anybody else want to jump in? Let's see if I know a few of these folks. I got a short list here. It's the Lucas. Needs some advice. What's your question, man? Got a couple people popping in here. Let's see. All right, I don't know you, man, but I'm going to give this a shot. Hopefully we're all decent and stuff here. So, hey, man, how's it going?
What's
how you doing, brother?
Yeah, I just came on to ask how to stop being ratchet, since you're like a positive, advisor or whatever, right?
How to stop being what? I couldn't hear you, brother. You cut out there for just a second.
How to stop being ratchet? Like how to just stop being like so aggressive and like so defensive? How do you stop that?
Okay, so how to stop having so many conflicts or being so conflicting with people? Is that what you're saying?
No, not so many conflicts. Like how to stop being like so defensive.
So offensive to others?
So defensive to others, yeah.
Oh, defensive. Defensive because of others. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I coach from the personality perspective when it comes to those type of things. So it would have to come down to figuring out what are you operating out of? What's your primary personality drive, right? If you're feeling defensive, if you feel you have to be defensive towards other people, then it's an internal conflict that you're having within yourself. Maybe it's a self-confidence thing or whatever. You're not operating in your primary temperament, probably. So that's what I would say is if you take the personality assessment and get that spectrum, we can see where you're operating from. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Let me ask you a couple of questions. So describe to me your ideal vacation.
My ideal vacation.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I like it. I like going on a holiday, to be honest. Or if you ask me if I could choose one.
Yeah.
I mean,
like what
location, choose a environment, or what do you mean?
Yeah, like where would you go? Who would you take with you? What would you do if you took a holiday?
I'll bring myself. I'll bring myself. I don't know, maybe to Antarctica or something. Just
Antarctica, okay? Yeah. Just yourself?
Yep.
Or would you take people with you? Just
Not
yourself?
Not really. I'd rather go on my own.
Okay.
I'm being honest, man. That's just
that's good. Okay. Yeah. No, that's good. And that's so. Explain a little bit more about this defensive thing that you're bringing up. That you feel you have to be defensive with other people.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? Explain that a little bit.
Not with other people, but just in like if I'm friendly with people. It's just that I have my guard up all the time. Like I'm ready to just kaboom on somebody, and not that I want to, but it just not that I want to, but it just happens. I don't know why.
Okay. A lot of that is, what you're describing. What I'm seeing is probably it's an internal conflict. It's just that do you perceive people judging you? Is that part of it?
Not really. I don't really care about, honestly, because I really don't bother what people say about me. I'm saying not what people's feelings are. I'm just saying about me. I'm just saying that I don't really care. No, I don't really care. I just don't have feelings towards it. So it's kind of like nothing. Okay. So I don't care what people think. That's not why I'm defensive. I'm just so...
Did you hear me describe any of the other traits? So, because today I'm focusing on resolving conflicts, right? And I think what you're talking about more is an internal conflict. But if you listen to did you listen to the traits, me describe the actual traits?
I'm sorry.
Of each, that's okay. Of each personality temperament?
Sorry. What?
Did you listen to me describe the traits of each personality temperament?
No, I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Okay, so let me recap for everybody. Let me recap and share what, from the perspective of personality, what the traits are. Because what I think you're really talking about is internal conflict, which really isn't the conversation that I'm focused on here today, but I want everybody to understand the traits. So I want to go over those one more time for you. So in the personality perspective that we use, the assessment that we use, we have blues, greens, oranges, and golds. Okay. So each of those temperaments have specific traits in how they interact with themselves and with other people. So what we're focused on here today is resolving conflicts in our relationships with other people. So when we look at the gold temperament, the gold temperament is someone that is organized, structured, detail-oriented. They have a very systematic, planned life in how they operate. Okay.
Yeah.
Next is their polar opposite, which is the gold. Golds love adventure. They love drive. They love, just being kinesthetic. They love the competition of life. They love challenges. So those are those type of personalities. Next is the greens. The greens are the analytics. They're the people who love looking at things through a scientific lens, a systematic lens. They love data, knowledge, information. And then lastly is the blues. The blue is the connection person. They're the people that deal with nurturing, counseling. They love being nurturers. They're very emotionally driven people, and they love to bring peace, harmony, and resolution to the world. They see things through symbolism, if you will.
So are you trying to ask me which one I'm in?
So do any of those traits, out of all of those characteristics or those types, is there any one that resonates the most with you?
Not really.
Not really?
Well, I want to help the world, but okay, am I in one? Am I in one of the traits?
Well, we all have all four. Like I said, it's a spectrum, right? We have the characteristics and the traits of each. So, but when we look at the personality spectrum, you have the primary, you have one that resonates with you the most, that you operate out of the most. So that's what we are looking at. So when we're dealing with conflicts, if you're operating in your primary temperament, either if it's an internal conflict or an external conflict, and I'm talking about external conflicts today, you have to know there's an expectation, there's a standard, right, of the traits that you want to express and how you express yourself. So when you're dealing with, if you're, let's take the green, for instance. If you're a green and your expectations, the way you operate your life is on a platform of knowledge, data, competency, information, being the expert in certain areas of life, then you will find the most challenges when people are the most conflict, when people profess to know something that you know something more about, and you're confident in that, and that they don't maybe not know as much. However, the greens tend to be confrontational just out of their normal everyday. They love debating. They love having controversy in their life, and sharing knowledge, proving facts. Those type of things come natural to them.
Where can I get this list of? Sorry, where can I get the list of this? Well,
Insights Learning. If you can go over to Insights Learning Foundation. I do a lot of stuff through my website, which is johnabirch.com. You can get some information there. You can take a personality assessment there. If you want to reach out to me, send me a direct message.
I need one.
Yeah, if you want to send me a direct, you can do that. Send me a direct message on Twitter, or hit me up on Facebook there, and send me a message there. Whichever is easiest for you. You can join my fan page, or you can go to my website and use the
link.
I'll drop a link for my. I'm sorry. Yeah, just a second, buddy. So let me drop the link in here for my actual web page, and you can contact me at the contact page. Obviously, throw it in there. Send me a message, and I'll definitely connect with you and share with you. There you go. So that's my main web page, and you can go ahead and check out there. And under the resources, the contact page, fill that out, send me a message, and I'll be happy to connect with you.
All right, man.
Sound good?
Right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you have like a cam or something? Like, do you have like those kind of, not boot cam, what do you call that cam?
Well, I do one-on-one coaching. This month we're focused on relationship stuff, but I have other programs called Know Thyself.
Are you in California?
Which is, I'm in Las Cruces, Nevada. Or not Las Cruces, New Mexico, excuse me. Back from Nevada. Yeah, I'm in New Mexico. So, but yeah, I do online coaching, online training. We have a couple different courses that you could get involved in. So shoot me a message. I'd love to share with you what I do and how it might potentially help you out. Okay.
Yeah. All right, man. So thank you.
Lucas. Oh, you're welcome, man.
I need to stop being ratchet. All right. See ya, man.
That's right, man. Be at peace with yourself, man. You got it. Okay. So when we're dealing with conflicts with other people, again, let me just rehash this one more time to understand that, of course, a conflict is an argument, a disagreement with others. The source is always from within. It's a perspective. It's the perspective that we've been violated in some way, that the relationship's been violated, the expectation hasn't been met, and that we're possibly being disrespected. When we look at it through that lens and when we file it down to our personality lens and how we relate to each other, if we understand these characteristics, if we understand the temperaments of those loved ones in our lives, or the people that we have relationships with, as coworkers or even the grocery store clerk, if we start to recognize their traits, their primary traits, and then relate to them, communicate with them, and understand the stress that's caused for them and why they're coming up with this conflict or why you're having this conflict with them, then you can easily remedy these things. You can easily correct those and very, very easily make the relationship better. Simply by understanding your personality traits, what is it that drives you, and what their need is, what need they're trying to fill from the personality lens. So I'm happy to stick around for a few minutes. I'm going to take this off recording here real quick. Thank you very much. Today we were talking about on Jab Blab resolving relationship conflicts in the series The Breakdown Before the Breakup. Feel free to reach out at johnabirch.com. Send me a direct message on Twitter. Follow me here on Blab. We're going to continue the series throughout the month of February, the month of love. Wishing you all the best in loving relationships. Thank you very much for joining me.